Good evening, everybody. Welcome to MendocinoTV.com and The Skunk. I'm Lindy Peters. It's homecoming in Fort Bragg. We got a great crowd here tonight. We should have an awesome game. The Lower Lake Trojans are in town. They are 2-1. The Fort Bragg Timberwolves right now are 1-2. But this is the first league game of the season as the NCL1 kicks off tonight here at Timberwolves Stadium with a huge homecoming crowd. A lot of alumni have showed up here tonight. It seems like half the town is here. And I'll tell you what, the Lower Lake Trojans junior varsity team didn't look that good. Fort Bragg had another great game. The final in the junior varsity game, 49-0. It was 35-0 at halftime. Another outstanding game for Kaylor Sullivan and the rest of the crew for the junior varsity team. And we're ready for the varsity and expect a completely different game here because, like I said, the Lower Lake Trojans have a winning record. They are 2-1. Their only loss coming to Durham. And they run the type of offense the Timberwolves defense has had a little bit of trouble with this year. So we're getting set to go. I'm Lindy Peters from MendocinoTV.com and the Skunk FM. We're rebroadcasting this game on Saturday morning. It should be a dandy. It's homecoming. The Fort Bragg Timberwolves are getting ready to take the field. Let's take a look as they come out with their co-captain Zach Smith leading the way now. It's Fort Bragg and Lower Lake, and we should have a dandy here tonight for homecoming. So get set for another exciting football game here on MendocinoTV.com and the Skunk FM. I'm Lindy Peters. We're all set to go with the pregame show and kick this thing off in just a couple minutes. But right now, here come the Fort Bragg Timberwolves. All right, we're all set here for the pregame show as we continue on homecoming night at Timberwolves Stadium. I'm Lindy Peters from MendocinoTV.com and the Skunk FM. First, let's talk about the Fort Bragg Timberwolves. They went down to San Francisco and they got beat by Galileo, and they fell behind 36-0 in that game and then had a respectable score. In fact, they actually outscored them. They put 30 points on the scoreboard following being behind 36-0. The game ended up 57-30, so they actually outscored them in the last part of that game. But it was not enough, and the Timberwolves took a rather stinging defeat. They also lost to St. Bernard's the game before that. They won their opener against McKinleyville, but for one of the rare times in Timberwolves football history, they took a couple of big losses in their last two games, losing to St. Bernard's 40-7 and then losing last week down at Galileo. Now, granted, Galileo High School is a San Francisco high school. They play in a league that includes all the big schools, Balboa, Lowell down in San Francisco. So give Coach Roy Perkins and his staff credit for taking the team down there and playing a very steady, good football team before league starts. Tonight, it's NCL1 league play. These games count. Fort Bragg is the defending league champion. They went on last year to the section playoffs and won their first game. They have a big crowd here tonight. It's a homecoming crowd. The high school kids are here in force. They're fired up and ready to go. The juniors, the sophomores, the seniors, the freshmen, they all have their floats parading around here before the game. And I'll tell you what, the Lower Lake Trojans are going to give them all they want, even though the junior varsity game was a rather one-sided affair with Fort Bragg winning easily 49-0. We might see something a little different from the varsity. The Timberwolves run an offense that features Tyler Ashby at quarterback and Zach Smith at running back. Ashby, the last couple of games, has shown a good arm, has been able to find open receivers and throw some very nice passes. In fact, he had 3 touchdown passes in the last game and looked very good throwing the ball. However, most of the time they rely on Zach Smith, their outstanding senior running back, who can score from any place on the field on any given play. Once he breaks into the open field, he's hard to catch. But it's been difficult because teams now have been keying on him here in his senior year. And, of course, he hurt his knee in the opening game against McKinleyville in the third quarter. He did not play the rest of that game. He didn't play against St. Bernard's. He was taped very heavily for the game against Galileo and was not really at full strength. So, tonight, the Timberwolves are going to rely on Zach Smith and Tyler Ashby. Their defense has been suspect. Their defense has had trouble running against a pistol or a spread offense, and that's what they're going to see tonight with the Lower Lake Trojans. So the real question mark so far this year for head coach Roy Perkins has been the defense. Let's see if they can stop Lower Lake, who comes in here with a winning record. Let's take a look now at the Lower Lake Trojans. They're across the way, over at their bench across the way, getting ready for this one. They're coached by Justin Gaddy. He's a new head coach. They've got a good program now. As I said, they're 2-1 as we start. They run that spread pistol offense, which has given the Timberwolves trouble, as I just mentioned, trying to contain outside runners. They're led by their running back, Eric Moreno. He's a 160-pound senior. He's a small, 5'5", but he's fast. Sometimes those small running backs are quite elusive. Witness Zach and the way he's run for the Timberwolves. So Moreno is at running back. Also, they have a couple other running backs that will carry the ball. Last year, they had just a horse on the junior varsity team. His name is James Clark. He'll be all over the field on defense. Also, Ryan Denicky, John Deacons, and Kyle Lampella are great defenders. They also have a rather couple of big guys. D'Angelo Alexander, 6'1", 275 pounds. Watch for number 72 tonight for Lower Lake. Also wearing number 74 is 6'1", 250-pound Anthony Williams. So those two guys, D'Angelo Alexander and Anthony Williams, are a couple of big horses on the defensive line for Lower Lake. They run a basic 4-3 defense. Their only loss came to Durham High School. So let's get set. This should be a dandy. It's homecoming. We're ready to kick this thing off here in just a moment. That'll conclude our pregame show. I'm Lindy Peters. It's the Lower Lake Trojans and the Fort Bragg Timberwolves coming up on MendocinoTV.com and the Skunk FM. Stick with us. This should be a dandy here tonight. All right, we're getting set here for the coin toss at midfield. The co-captains for both teams are out there. The Timberwolves with Tyler Ashby, Zach Smith, Ty Vaughn, and Brian Beckman. And across the way, the co-captains for Lower Lake are out there ready to go. Ryan Denecki is out there. Also John Deacons, who comes from a long line of family members that were athletes at Lower Lake High School. And Brandon Avalar, the wide receiver. Those are the three co-captains for Lower Lake. Fort Bragg wearing their home purple with white numerals and gray pants. Lower Lake on the road. Their colors are red, white, and blue. They're wearing white with the blue helmets and blue numbers outlined in red. And let's see, the coin toss is complete. It looks like the Trojans are going to receive the opening kickoff. They'll be moving right to left across your radio dial if you're listening to this on the Skunk FM. The Timberwolves will be kicking off. And they'll be, of course, moving left to right across your radio dial. If you're listening to this rebroadcast on the Skunk FM, we're getting set for the national anthem. The flag is out here tonight, and the Fort Bragg Fire Department is here. The volunteer fire department have set up their big crane with the big American flag on the top of the crane, and it's set up on the north end of the field. And let's get set now for our national anthem. We'll return here with the kickoff and get this thing going in just a moment. I'm Lindy Peters for MendocinoTV.com and the Skunk FM. Thanks for joining us. Exciting high school football is coming up. All right, we're getting set for the kickoff. I'm Lindy Peters for MendocinoTV.com and the Skunk FM. A nice tribute to Jonathan Denver, the former Fort Bragg High School graduate who was stabbed to death down in San Francisco. They had a moment of silence just before the national anthem. You see the Timberwolves fired up and ready to go before this homecoming crowd around head coach Roy Perkins. They'll be kicking it off. River Saunders, the place kicker for the Timberwolves, really was booming his kickoffs last week in San Francisco. It was artificial turf. The field was well protected, and he was kicking it into the end zone every time. Whether he's able to do that tonight under outdoor conditions with this marine air, which is a lot thicker than was down in San Francisco. It was kind of a balmy, almost a tropical day last week. And, of course, it was an afternoon game. So now it's a night game, and this air will be thicker. Probably won't be able to kick it quite as well as he was able to last week, but we'll see. He's done an outstanding job place kicking for the Timberwolves. He's also their punter. Two men back to receive for the Lower Lake Trojans. And we're all set to go as Saunders kicks it off. A nice high end-over-end kick taken at the 5-yard line, dropped, picked up at the 5 to the 7, breaks to the outside, and now he's free up the left sideline, breaking away, gets a block. Saunders knocks him out of bounds. River Saunders with a saving tackle that time. Mason Sanders returned the kickoff. He's wearing looked like he was number 20. 28, I guess, was the return man. Somehow I had a little trouble seeing who that was, but a fine kickoff return by Sanders all the way out to the Timberwolves 46-yard line, and River Saunders made a saving tackle. So here come the Lower Lake Trojans. Isaiah King, their quarterback, running that pistol spread offense. Two men split out left, two men split out right. Man comes in motion now across the field. That's James Clark. There's a snap. There's a give to Moreno, and he is tackled in the backfield that time as the Timberwolves did an outstanding job. Almost looked like there was a fumble, but I guess not. The initial hit that time by big Tyler Moorhead. Saunders, the ball carrier. No gain. It'll be second down and 10. One of the things the Timberwolves have had trouble defensively stopping is runs to the outside. Ball spotted on the near hash mark now, so the right side of the field is the open field if you're going to try and do a sweep. King gets a man in motion. Once again, that's Clark coming this way. Two men split right, two men split left. Now, it looked like Lower Lake moved. They didn't call a penalty. Quick slant pass, incomplete that time. Pass was intended for Ryan Deneke, and Deneke's just out of his reach that time. Incomplete, third down and 10 for Lower Lake, who, if you just joined us, returned the opening kickoff across midfield, almost returned it all the way for a touchdown. Just underway, first quarter, 11:02 to go. A big third down and 10 now for the Trojans. Two men, again, split out left, two men split out right, as Isaiah King has one back in the backfield, that's Saunders with him. Clark once again comes in motion, left to right across in front of King, who's in the shotgun. Takes a snap at about the 50-yard line. He's back to pass. He's getting a rush. Now he breaks away from the rush, tries to get outside. Ty Vaughn stops him, and the Timberwolves make a stop on third and long. Right near midfield as Ty Vaughn made the initial hit. Also coming in there was Moorhead to help finish it off. And King, the quarterback that time, tried to scramble and couldn't get away. Now last week, one of the problems the Timberwolves had was trying to contain a scrambling quarterback. But this week on the first third and long, they're able to do so nicely as Ty Vaughn with another nice defensive play. He had several of them last week. All right, Zach Smith is back to receive along with Nathan Johnson. Lower Lake ready to punt. High snap. King gets a punt away. It's an end-over-end punt. Going to bounce at about the 15. And this time they let it go, and Lower Lake downs it inside the 10-yard line where the Timberwolves take over first and 10, the ball at their own 9-yard line. This is MendocinoTV.com and the Skunk FM. We're rebroadcasting this game on Saturday morning, and the Timberwolves send their offense out for the first time. They stop the Trojans after a rather electrifying kickoff, and they'll take over first and 10 deep in their own territory. The ball spotted at their own 8-yard line. Ashby, the quarterback, in the huddle with the Timberwolves offense. We'll see if Zach Smith is at full strength this week. Such a key component to this Timberwolves offense, number 28. Ashby brings him up to the line of scrimmage. Johnson splits way out to the right. Tupper slotted inside of him. Zach, the lone back in the I formation. Now a man comes in motion. They give to Zach Smith, and he's got some room across the 20 to the 25 to the 30. One man to beat. He beat him to the 50, to the 40, to the 30, to the 20, to the 10. Touchdown Timberwolves. No flags. The first carry, Zach Smith goes 92 yards for a touchdown. What a run. I had just said what a key component he is to this offense, and you saw why. If you're watching it on MendocinoTV.com, Zach Smith hit the afterburners at about his own 30-yard line, and it was off to the races, and this homecoming crowd had a little something to cheer about right off the bat. 6-0. The Timberwolves with the lead, 9:59 to go, first quarter. Zach Smith, a 92-yard touchdown run the first time he touches the ball. All right, Saunders now for the extra point. Ashby to hold. There's a snap. The spot is down. The kick is up. It's got the distance, and it is good. So with 9:59 to go, first quarter, the Timberwolves on homecoming night draw first blood. It's Fort Bragg 7, Lower Lake nothing. I'm Lindy Peters from MendocinoTV.com and the Skunk FM. We'll be back with the kickoff here in just a flash. All right, here we go. The Timberwolves leading 7-0 after Zach Smith's 92-yard touchdown run. Saunders will kick it off. Back deep is Sanders along with Clark. There's the kick. It's a short kick this time, and it goes out of bounds at about the 20 or about the 15-yard line. They tried to kick it away from Sanders, who returned it so well the last time, but it's out of bounds, and we'll see where they spot it here. It will be extra yardage for Lower Lake. I think when you kick it out of bounds in high school, the team gets it at the 40-yard line. See if the officials, and I'm sorry, it's a 35. So Lower Lake gets it first and 10 at their own 35-yard line. This is their second possession, 9:59 to go, first quarter. 7-0 Fort Bragg. Isaiah King again with that spread offense, two men left, two men right. by himself in the backfield. Looked like Lower Lake jumped that time, and they did. A penalty flag flies as somebody out there spread out to the right, left a little bit early. One of the things when you run a spread offense at the high school level, you really have to watch the football more so than listen to the count or the snap, because you're a long ways away from the ball. You're not as disciplined as you are at higher levels of football, and it's a difficult offense to run at any level. But you see it a lot now at the high school level, and here they come. 2 men split left, 2 men split right. Again, Isaiah King at quarterback by himself, the lone back in the backfield. It's 1st and 15 for Lower Lake now, and King's going to run it himself as he goes left side, and he is met and dropped after picking up about 5 yards, gets it back to the initial line of scrimmage, and maybe another yard. Zach Smith with the tackle. Also James Pate and Ty Vaughn on the stop. So the Timberwolves defensively with a nice stop there, but he did pick up about 5 yards back to about the initial line of scrimmage. Ball just across the 35-yard line where it'll be 2nd down and about 10 yards to go. Clark splits out here to the left with Danecki. 2 men split out right. King takes a snap, and he just runs right this time. Over the right tackle, gets away for 1 man, but then Nathan Johnson chases him down and drops him. After little or no gain, another nice play defensively, that time by Johnson. Obviously, Coach Roy Perkins has worked on outside containment. After the last couple of games, he watched teams take advantage of getting around the edge. So far tonight, granted it's early, 9:03 to go first quarter, Fort Bragg leading 7-0, but the Timberwolves looking very good, stopping outside containment. Quickly up to the line of scrimmage come the Trojans. King with 1 man in the backfield with him. 3 men split to the left, 1 man split to the right. Usually a guy will come in motion here on the side where 3 men are lined up, but not this time. He takes a snap. He's looking to his left. Still looking. He throws. The pass is tipped up and incomplete. Intended that time for Dominic Dingus. Incomplete, so it's going to set up 4th down and about 6. The ball at their own 38-yard line, and the Trojans looks like they're going to be forced to punt once again. The Timberwolves defense doing a great job so far. It's early, first quarter. Fort Bragg leads 7-0. If you just joined us on the rebroadcast on the Skunk FM, Zach Smith on the first play on the first offensive series for the Timberwolves ran 92 yards for a touchdown. There's the punt by King. Smith is back to receive with Johnson. Johnson puts a fair catch sign up and then has to let it go. And another nice punt by King as it goes inside the 20 down to the Timberwolves 17-yard line. So with 8:26 to go first quarter at homecoming at Timberwolves Stadium, it's Fort Bragg 7, Lower Lake nothing, and the Timberwolves send their offense out to the field for the second time. Ashby, the quarterback, has progressed very nicely since his junior year, game by game. Timberwolves primarily a running team, but they can throw the ball too, as Ashby showed last week in San Francisco. Lower Lake with their base 4-3 defense now, 4 down linemen, and they've got a good front there defensively. 2 men to the right, 1 man left. Man comes in motion. That's Smith. He's got the ball again, right side. He's got a block. He cuts the corner, gets to 25, up close to the 30 before he's out of bounds. I think he got another first down as Smith picked up about 12 yards that time. Smith with good field vision. He takes that football, he starts looking, he slows himself down for the blockers, and then when he sees an opening or a burst to the outside, he's got the jets to turn off the afterburners as we saw on that first play. So it is a first down. The Timberwolves get it out of the shadow of their end zone out now to the 29-yard line where it's going to be 1st and 10. 7-0, Timberwolves with a lead. 2 men split left, 1 man Johnson in the slot, and a whistle stops the play as they gave it to Johnson that time on a sweep left side, but one of the Timberwolves may have jumped that time. Looks like it's going to go against Fort Bragg, a 5-yard penalty. Or maybe more. They're marching quite a ways back. Let's see. The referee was mic'd. It is a legal procedure. It's only a 5-yard penalty. The Timberwolves set up their huddle way back at their own 10. So it'll be 1st and 15 now, the ball at the 25-yard line. You're listening to a rebroadcast of this game on the Skunk FM. I'm Lindy Peters, and you're watching it streaming on video anytime, anywhere on MendocinoTV.com. Just underway, first quarter, 7:54 to go. Ashby gives it to Johnson, sweeping left side. He's got a blocker out there. He gets to the 30, to the 35, to the 40. Dragged down from behind across the 46-yard line. Another fine run as Johnson that time picks up about 20 yards. And the Timberwolves offense is rolling right now, getting outside. as the Timberwolves sweeping right now, successfully left and right. And it's 1st and 10, the ball all the way out to their 48-yard line. Johnson this time splits out to the right. Tupper slotted inside of him. Man comes in motion, that's Smith. He fumbles the snap, but now he picks it up. He's got another blocker. That's Johnson with a good block. He's across the 40 to the 30. Inside the 25, breaks a tackle, breaks another tackle, and is dragged down from behind at the 10-yard line. And Zach Smith once again with a beautiful run. Breaking tackles, got it around the right side. He lined up on the left side on the slot formation, came across in motion. They gave him the ball. He almost fumbled the handoff that time. The Timberwolves call a timeout. Then he got outside, breaking tackles, gets it all the way inside the 10-yard line. 7:22 to go first quarter with a timeout on the field as Fort Bragg 7, Lower Lake nothing. I'm Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM and MendocinoTV.com. We'll take a timeout. All right, we're back rolling now after the timeout. 7:22 to go in the first quarter. Unofficially, Zach Smith already with 144 yards rushing, and we're just underway. Most of that coming on a 92-yard touchdown run the first time he touched the ball tonight. And it looks like Zach Smith's knee injury is back at full strength. All right, this time 2 men in the backfield. Titus checks in at fullback now. In the I formation, that's Zach Smith behind Ashby inside the 10-yard line. They pitch to Smith. He's going to try and get outside left time now. He looks like he's going to throw, and he's in trouble, and he is sacked all the way back at the 24-yard line by the Trojans. I'm not sure if that was an option pass or if Smith was just trying to get himself open for a second, but there was absolutely nowhere to go. The Trojans were waiting for him defensively that time as John Deacons was there ready to make the stop, and they bring him all the way back to the 22-yard line where it's going to be a 2nd and goal now from the 22. 7-0, Timberwolves lead, 6:51 to go first quarter. Well, after I just mentioned how many yards Smith had, a big loss that time. Titus splitting out to the right, lining up now at wide receiver. Man comes in motion, that's Johnson. Ashby pitches it to Johnson, right side. He's got a blocker. Nice move. Cuts inside, gets back inside the 5-yard line. Nice block that time. I don't have a 64 in my program. I'm not sure if that's Perkins or Pate. One of the Timberwolves did a great job leading the way that time and did so earlier with Zach Smith in his long run. So now it's going to be 3rd and goal. The ball back inside the 10. Down to about the 9-yard line. 3rd and goal. 5:59 to go first quarter. Homecoming here. The Timberwolves leading the Lower Lake Trojans by a score of 7-0. Johnson splits out left. Tupper splits out right. Titus at fullback. In the I formation is Smith behind him. Ashby pitches to Smith, left side. He cuts inside. Still on his feet. Dives forward. Did he get in? Touchdown, Timberwolves. And Zach Smith scores again. Makes it 13-0. 5:40 to go first quarter. Boy, the Timberwolves are looking very crisp tonight. And the Trojans had a winning record coming in here. Well, shouldn't put that in the past tense. They still do. They're 2-1. But now the Timberwolves in the first quarter with 5:40 to go have scored on their first 2 possessions, having a 13-0 lead as Saunders is out there for the extra point. Ashby to hold. Timberwolves getting set for the extra point, and one of them moved. Got drawn off that time as coming up was Denecki from his safety spot, and he caused one of the Timberwolves interior linemen to step up just a bit. Actually, they might call that encroachment. They are. They're going to call that encroachment, so that actually is going to be a penalty against the Trojans to make it a little bit closer for Saunders. You know, with Ashby holding, I don't think you're going to see it this early in a game like this, but the Timberwolves could conceivably go for 2 at some point. The kick is blocked as Saunders unable to get that one through the uprights that time as the Trojans block the extra point. And with 5:40 to go in the first quarter, it's Fort Bragg 13, Lower Lake nothing. I'm Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM and MendocinoTV.com. We'll return with the kickoff here in just a moment. All right, we're back with the kickoff. Lindy Peters for MendocinoTV.com and the Skunk FM. 13-0. The Timberwolves win the first quarter, 5:40 to go. Sanders and Clark deep to receive for Lower Lake. Saunders gives it a good boot. And this is another returnable kick as Sanders takes it at his own 10, coming to the left side now, to the 15, to the 20, cuts back and is hit and dropped by Raymond Ritchie. Hello. Well, the Timberwolves, I'm sure, after that initial return for the Trojans, that was a beauty by Sanders. Don't want to let him try and give him any decent field position again with a kickoff, and they were on him that time. So the Trojans will have it first and 10 at their own 15-yard line. One of the things that is featured along with this pistol or spread offense is usually it's no huddle or a quick huddle. So offensively, the Trojans are all set to go without a huddle. King at quarterback. He's got Deacons in the backfield with him. Also Moreno. Shotgun formation. Now Deacons comes in motion laterally across to the left, suggesting a run that way. And they give his to Moreno, and they do come behind Deacons' block, and he gets around the left side, and Zach Smith is there to greet him. But he picked up about 5 yards across the 20-yard line, so it'll be second down and maybe call it a 6-yard gain, second down and 4. After playing Galileo High School last week and really playing against some speed and some size, the Timberwolves certainly benefited, even though they did get beat. It was a good pre-league game for them to get set for this league opener tonight. They lead 13-0. First quarter, 4:58 to go. Now Deacons laterally in motion to the right. King fakes to Deacons. There's a fumble. It's on the ground. The Timberwolves have it at about the 20-yard line. They tried a fake play-action handoff. I don't think they were going to run it. Walker Ferreira recovers a fumble for the Timberwolves at about the 20-yard line. They faked it to Deacons and we're going to give it to Moreno, the old cross buck, where you fake it to one guy going one way and then give it to the guy going the other, and there was a miscommunication or a missed handoff that time, and the Timberwolves get the game's first turnover, and they got it at the 20-yard line of the Trojans. Smith, the lone back in the I formation. Johnson slotted on the right. Tupper slotted on the left. Now Johnson comes in motion. They give it to Johnson left side. He's got a blocker out there. He gets inside the 10. Nice move to the 5. Into the goal line. Touchdown Timberwolves. Nathan Johnson. And boy, their offense is just firing on 8 cylinders tonight. High octane gas. That makes it 19-0. 4:39 to go, first quarter. Nathan Johnson with a nice 20-yard run. Boy, it's just all Timberwolves, and this homecoming crowd who watched the junior varsity win 49-0 is watching the varsity off to a very quick start, and I'm a little surprised at how quickly the Timberwolves have taken the lead. They really look sharp tonight. All right, they're going to go for 2 points now as Ashby lines up. Smith in the I formation behind him, Titus the fullback. The pitch is to Smith left side. All he has to do is trot into the corner, and he's there. No defender at all, and Smith could have walked in. He could have cartwheeled in that time. So it's a 2-point conversion. It's now Fort Bragg 21, Lower Lake nothing. We're in the first quarter, 4:34 to go. I'm Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM and MendocinoTV.com. It's all purple and white tonight, folks, so far. We'll be back with the kickoff here in just a moment. All right, we're all set to kick it off. Lindy Peters for MendocinoTV.com and the Skunk FM. River Saunders will kick it off from his own 40. Sanders and Clark deep to receive. A high end-over-end kick. This time it's Clark. Takes it at his own 10. Gets some blocking. Now he cuts to the right. Cuts inside. This guy can run. And he is tackled after a nice return out to about the 30-yard line. Clark watched him last year as a junior varsity, and he was just a horse out there, a man among kids. He's now at the varsity level and hasn't really seen the ball too much on offense, but tell you what, he's one to watch for. And one of the Trojans is down. We have an injury on the field, so we'll take a timeout for an injury. The score, Fort Bragg 21, Lower Lake nothing. First quarter, 4:27 to go. Lindy Peters for MendocinoTV.com and the Skunk FM. Let's hope he's okay. I can't see his number. We'll come back, though, following this injury timeout. We're back here on this injury timeout. I had misidentified that as being a Lower Lake Trojan down that was injured. I couldn't really see from here, but it's one of the Timberwolves that's injured. And I'm not sure who it is. You want to start looking around for numbers, but I believe I see Zach Smith, who was injured pretty seriously in that opening game. He's not one that's injured. He's over there, and it doesn't matter who it is. You hate to see a kid at this level get injured playing football. So we'll continue with an injury timeout now, but we wanted to come back and say it's one of the Timberwolves that has been injured on the kickoff, with Fort Bragg leading 21-0 first quarter. All right, the injured Timberwolves is Raymond Ritchie, and he apparently has a pretty serious left knee injury. If you're watching on MendocinoTV.com, you can see he's being carried pretty much off the field, not putting any weight at all on that left leg. He's a key component to the Timberwolves defense and special teams. Hopefully he's going to be okay. So the Trojans have it on offense. Fort Bragg leading 21-0. First quarter, 4:27 to go. In that spread pistol offense, two-men split way out here to the left. King with 2 men in the backfield with him. 1 man split out right. Takes a snap, rolling to his left, looking to his left. Now he stops. Now he's in trouble. Now it looks like he's going to take off and run, and Nathan Johnson makes a stop after he picks up about 5 yards out to about the 35-yard line or 45-yard line. Let me correct myself, the 35-yard line. Hard to see the yard line markers, the Timberwolves bench right there, and it's a long ways across the field. So it's about a 5-yard gain, 2nd down and 5 for the Trojans. Quarterback Isaiah King running that pistol spread offense. He's got Clark in the backfield with him this time. 2 men split out left. 1 man splits out to the right. There's also another man in the backfield who I cannot see at this time, but 2 men are back there with him as King takes the snap. Then he fakes a handoff. He's running to his right. Around the end he tries to go, and he's tackled. A beautiful tackle that time by Zach Smith, who basically got him by the jersey and wrestled him to the ground. Zach, by the way, when he was a youngster, was quite a wrestler in the youth wrestling programs. He advanced quite far as a youth wrestler, so football not his only sport. So it's going to be 3rd down and about 5 now for the Trojans, who have struggled on offense so far. Ball at their own 35-yard line. King in the shotgun. No one now in the backfield with him. 2 men split left, 2 men split right. He takes the snap in. He's running this way. He needs 5 yards for a first down. Nathan Johnson chases him down and tackles him. The ball comes loose, but the ground caused the fumble. A beautiful defensive pursuit from Nathan Johnson that time as King was going to keep it all the way, and he is tackled by Johnson. No gain on the play. So it's going to set up 4th down and about 6 yards to go. Smith back in punt formation for the Timberwolves to receive. Isaiah King back to punt for the Trojans. Nathan Johnson comes back with Smith now, back to receive. There's the snap for the punt. King gets his kick away, end over end. It's going to bounce at about the 38-yard line and roll down inside the 30, down to about the 26-yard line. Isaiah King, if you have anything positive to say so far for the Trojans, has punted very well. His punts have not been returned, and he's put the Timberwolves back pretty deep in their own territory each time, although this time the Timberwolves have it out at their own 25-yard line. This will be their best start offensively, except for when they recovered the fumble at the 20 and went in to score the last time they had it. But we're in the first quarter, 21-0. The Timberwolves lead, 2:17 to go here on homecoming night in this first quarter. And they have the ball on their own 25. 1st and 10 for Fort Bragg. Ashby at quarterback over center, gets a man in motion, Smith. He gives it to Smith right side. Smith trying to get outside, breaks 1 tackle. He's to the 30, and out of bounds he goes at about the 38-yard line, picking up about 7 yards that time. And a penalty flag comes in late. A little extracurricular activity downfield that time. Gallo Villapando was down there blocking, and also down there with him was Brendan Manginer for Lower Lake, and I'm not sure who the flag is on, but those two seem to be going at it. It's a 15-yard personal foul penalty against the Trojans. Now, even though Fort Bragg had a losing record of 1-2, the 2 teams that they lost to, St. Bernard's and Galileo, were both very good teams. Both ran similar offenses to what the Trojans run. So there were good preparation games for this game here tonight. This is the one that counts. This is a league game. Ashby over center. Johnson slotted on the right. Smith, the lone back in the I formation behind him. A man slotted left. That's Tupper. 2 men split out. They pitched to Zach Smith, left side. Johnson leading the way. He breaks a tackle, still on his feet, and then is cut down. Nice tackle that time by Isaiah King. But Smith picked up at least 5 yards before he went down. So it'll be 2nd down. Call it a 4-yard gain. 2nd down and 6. The ball now across midfield down into Trojan territory at their 48-yard line. First quarter with 1:35 to go. Fort Bragg 21, Lower Lake nothing. Liddy Peters for the Skunk FM and MendocinoTV.com. Glad you've joined us here on this homecoming night. Beautiful evening for football. A little bit of fall crisp air out there, but it's clear. As Ashby now will take it in the shotgun. Takes a snap, gives it to Johnson, trying to get outside, and he's not going to. Oh, he breaks a tackle. Deacons couldn't get him, and Johnson's still on his feet, and then goes down about the original line of scrimmage, but a nice play that time. John Deacons had him stopped for a big loss, but Johnson somehow got away, but he didn't get too far as Deacons turned him back to the middle part of the field, and the rest of the defense for the Trojans finished it off, setting up 3rd down and 9 yards to go. The ball back now at the Timberwolves side of the 50-yard line at their own 49. We're down under a minute to go first quarter. It's been all Fort Bragg. They're leading 21-0. Timberwolves break the huddle and then come back for a moment. One of the things I could in fact, I'm not going to say it because every time I say something like this, I curse the team, so I'm not going to say what I was going to say. 28 seconds to go first quarter. The Timberwolves have a 3rd and long. Ashby back to pass, and he is sacked down at the 40-yard line from behind as the big guy, James Clark, comes in and all over him like a cape. And the seconds tick down now, putting it 4th down at the Timberwolves 40-yard line with 4th and 20. They'll punt, but that's going to be the end of the first quarter. The score, Fort Bragg 21, Lower Lake nothing. Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM and MendocinoTV.com. And we'll be back with the second quarter here in just a moment, and I'll tell you what my thoughts were just before that first quarter ended. All right, we got 12 minutes to go in the second quarter. Each quarter, of course, 12 minutes, and we're just starting the second quarter. The Timberwolves leading 21-0. What I was going to say, that I always seem to curse the team when I say it, is the Timberwolves haven't had a lot of penalties called against them. Here comes a punt from Saunders, end-over-end punt. Going to drop at the 28, take a Fort Bragg bounce all the way down to the 20. It's picked up now by the Trojans, trying to run it and eluding tackles for a little bit. Almost a late hit that time for the Timberwolves, but it's not called. That was Mason Sanders who returned that opening kickoff, which was the lone bright spot so far for the Trojans in this game. Anyway, what I was going to say to finish my thought is the Timberwolves, who really hurt themselves against St. Bernard's especially. And last week they had quite a few penalties called against them too, although a lot of them went against the Galileo Lions. So far tonight, the Timberwolves have been playing mistake-free football, and there have not been a lot of penalties against them. So that is certainly an improvement over the last 2 games. So here we go. The Trojans have it on offense now. Just underway. Second quarter, Fort Bragg 21, Lower Lake nothing. Sanders alone back with King in the shotgun, running that spread pistol offense. King takes a snap, back to pass. Got some time. Looking to his left, puts it in the air, short, picked off by Shane Tupper at the 50. And he's brought down at the 45-yard line. The Timberwolves get their second turnover on the first play of the second quarter as Shane Tupper makes the interception. King slightly underthrew that ball and into double coverage, and Tupper picks it off. So the Timberwolves will have it first down now at the Lower Lake 45-yard line, leading 21-0. Homecoming here, and Fort Bragg delighting the crowd thus far. Zach Smith already a big night, scoring a couple of touchdowns. He's in the I formation. Titus in front of him at fullback now as Ashby turns around and says a couple of things to the backfield. And then the Trojans may have jumped that time, and they may have been called offsides on a hard count as Ashby draws the defense offside and sets up 1st and 5 now. The ball moves up to the 40-yard line. 21-0. Fort Bragg leading. You're listening to a rebroadcast this Saturday morning on the Skunk FM and watching it on video on MendocinoTV.com in glorious high def. And I'm Lindy Peters, happy to bring you this action. So here we go. 1st and 5 for the Timberwolves at the 40. The pitch is to Smith, left side. And he's cut down in the backfield again. Nice tackle that time. Coming forward is Brendan Mangander. No gain that time. Maybe lost a yard, setting up 2nd down and 5. Ball just shy of the 40-yard line of the Lower Lake Trojans. Well, one of the things the Timberwolves have been able to do thus far is get outside. The last couple of times, the Trojans were able to knife through the defense and make a nice stop. So this time Titus in the backfield in the I formation. Smith is slotted left side here. He comes in motion. They give to Smith, right side. This time he gets around the corner to the 35, to the 30, still on his feet, to the 25. A penalty flag goes down as he's out of bounds at about the 20-yard line. This one's probably going to come back. And I just curse myself for saying what I said minutes ago, because I told you, whenever I say that, the penalty flags start flying. This one will come back. The ball had been at the 20-yard line of the Trojans. So a nice 20-yard gain will be called back, holding the call against the Timberwolves. I believe they marched the penalty off from where the infraction occurred, so it won't be quite as bad as from the line of scrimmage, but it's still going to bring it all the way back to the 42-yard line, setting up 2nd down and 7, but nullifying a nice play. And the net result is that's about a 22-yard penalty if you take away the gain the Timberwolves had on that play. This time Ty Vaughn in the slot with Tupper outside of him wide left. Johnson splits out to the right, 2 men in the backfield. Play action. Ashby rolling left. Now he's in trouble and he is going to go down. No, he gets away somehow. Still on his feet. He's at the 40, to the 35, down to the 30-yard line. 1st down, and a penalty flag flies right at the 50-yard line. And again, I am very sorry, folks. I said anything about penalties. I knew it was coming. I cursed us. But it's a face mask call against the Trojans. So, well, can I take back anything I say about myself? I guess I can. So I don't know how Ashby got away. If you were watching that on video on MendocinoTV.com, he had 2 guys sandwich him at about midfield, and somehow he staggered away, and then not only that, went about 20 more yards downfield, picking up a 1st down at the 25-yard line. 1st and 10. A beautiful run by Tyler Ashby that time. He escaped like Houdini. All right, back to action. Ashby gives it to Nathan Johnson. Still on his feet, trying to stiff arm a man around the left side, and gets some positive yardage down to about the 23-yard line. They stretched it out nicely, did the Trojans that time, as Ben Day came up to finish off the tackle for the Lower Lake Trojans. Also in there to make the stop was Brendan Manginger. It's M-A-N-G-I-N-E-R. I think it's Manginer, but I'm not sure. It could be Manginer. So about a 3-yard gain. It'll be 2nd down and 7. We're in the 2nd quarter. Fort Bragg leading 21-0. 9:20 to go here before halftime. Homecoming for Fort Bragg, and so far it's been all Fort Bragg. Ashby sends a man in motion. Smith fakes to him, gives instead to Titus right up the middle. He's still on his feet as he gets inside the 15, down close to the 10-yard line, and another Timberwolves 1st down. They used Zach Smith as a decoy that time, faking him going around the right, and instead gave it to Titus right up the middle. And with the defense keying on Smith, Titus was able to gain a nice 1st down. So it's down inside the 15, down to about the 11-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Timberwolves. They can get a 1st down at about the 2. Johnson splits out to the left. I formation with Titus the fullback, Smith the tailback in the I formation. They pitch it to Smith, left side. He's got some blocking. He's got some room to the 5, to the 10, or to the goal line. Touchdown, Timberwolves. Almost had him running backwards for a moment. As Fort Bragg scores again, that makes it 27-0. Smith that time, 11-yard run, another touchdown, and we haven't hit halftime, and Fort Bragg is really dominating. I'll say this about Coach Roy Perkins. He is one that remembers that you have to play teams again and again and again when you're a long-time coach. And again, the special teams, the Timberwolves have a man run out there at the end. He gets out there just in time for the extra point as River Saunders will attempt. There's a snap, there's a spot, there's a kick. It's up, and a penalty flag goes down. As Saunders was wide left that time on the kick, I think the Timberwolves were probably going to be called for a legal procedure or a motion call, which will be refused. It is a legal procedure against the Timberwolves. So they'll decline the penalty. Zach Smith scores from 11 yards out, his third touchdown run of the night. It's Fort Bragg 27, Lower Lake nothing. 8:46 to go in the first half. Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM and MendocinoTV.com will return with a kickoff here in just a moment. It's all Fort Bragg so far tonight. All right, we're back with the kickoff. The Timberwolves leading 27-0 are in the first half. River Saunders will kick it off. And deep to receive for the Trojans is Mason Sanders and James Clark. Sanders takes a kickoff at his own 10-yard line, up to the 15, to the 20, still on his feet, to the 25, to the 30, cuts back, and is tackled at about the 32-yard line. And a penalty flag flies into the fray. 27-0 Fort Bragg, 8:39 to go here. One of the problems with a lot of penalties is it just makes the game go longer and longer and longer. That penalty will be against the Timberwolves. 5-yard penalty, so the Trojans will have it 1st and 10 at their own 36-yard line. Fort Bragg leading 27-0. JV game, Fort Bragg won 49-0. You know, the last two games, Fort Bragg has been the team that's been behind big and behind early. But today it's the other way around. The Timberwolves with an early big lead here. Out of the shotgun running the spread, Isaiah King for the Trojans. Takes the snap. He's back to pass. Looking over the middle. Now he looks to his left. Now he's going to take off running. He is tackled from behind that time, but picks up about 7 yards, and a penalty flag flies. Oh, man. It'd be a penalty on every play now. Looks like they're looking at the Timberwolves for the flag. Well, if you just joined us, minutes ago I said I wasn't going to say that the Timberwolves have played a rather clean game and there haven't been a lot of penalties, because I knew as soon as I did there'd be tons of penalties, and that's what's happening. This time it is against the Trojans. At this point it doesn't matter which team it's against. It just sort of takes the flow out of the game when you're stopping every play for a penalty. But it's a personal foul call against the Trojans, taking it back to the 31-yard line of Lower Lake, setting up 1st and 15. So again, King will run out of the shotgun with that spread formation. He's got one back there with him. He takes a snap. He gives to him. That's Moreno, and Moreno is going to pick up a couple of yards, but not much. A nice tackle by the Timberwolves that time. Looked like the first guy to get him was Tyler Moorhead, the big defensive lineman, and the linebackers came to finish him off. If there's one down spot so far tonight, it's the injury to Raymond Ritchie, the fine linebacker and tight end for the Timberwolves. He seems to have a fairly serious knee injury. He's on the bench right now with the knee wrapped. He's got an ice pack on it. But he had to be helped off the field. But other than that, it's been a very positive night so far. Fort Bragg leading 27-0. Here comes that spread again. 2 men left. 2 men to the right. 1 back behind Isaiah King out of the shotgun. Takes a snap. Back to pass. Looking to his right. Throws. Overthrows his man. Incomplete. Intended that time for Brandon Manginer. I'm going to go with that. And it'll be 3rd down and 13. Coverage by Gaby Barra. Well, we don't want to get the wrong generation in this game. No, it was Gaby Barra on the coverage that time. 3rd and long now for the Trojans. The ball back at their own 33-yard line. 7:40 to go first half. Fort Bragg leading 27-0. King in the shotgun. Takes the snap. Back to pass again. Slips for a moment. He's got some time. Now he's going to try and run. Slips one tackler. Ibarra comes up, slips him. Zach Smith comes up, that's Ty Vaughn comes up and finishes him off after he picked up a few yards, but it's going to set up 4th down and about 6. Isaiah King, you got to give him credit. His team trailing has had to scramble a few times, and just like Tyler Ashby did on that last drive for the Timberwolves, manages to get out of trouble from his quarterback position. 4th down and 7 now. The ball at the 38-yard line of Lower Lake, as they'll have to punt it away. Johnson and Smith back to receive for the Timberwolves. Isaiah King in punt formation for Lower Lake. He gets the snap. He gets a kick away, end-over-end kick. Bounces. And Smith picks it up and gets away. He's to the 40, to the 45, to the 50, to the 40, cuts back, and is hit out of bounds at the 30-yard line. And Zach Smith, just before that ball was about to be downed, picked it up and ran. Just like he did last week against Galileo when he returned it for a touchdown. This week, he is knocked out of bounds on the far sideline, but a nice punt return. I didn't see a penalty flag, but it looks like action has stopped for a moment anyway. 6:38 to go first half. Fort Bragg 27, Lower Lake nothing. The officials are talking something over. 27-0. Illegal contact, the call against the Lower Lake Trojans. Might have been a hit out of bounds that time, as Smith, when he was out of bounds, sort of let up and he was hit. Hard to see from here across the far sidelines what happened, but the Timberwolves have it at the Trojan 20. Tyler Ashby in shotgun formation now. Smith the back with him. He fakes to Smith, keeps it himself, left side to the 15. Tried to hurdle a man, gets inside the 15 down to about the 12, picking up about 7 yards. And another penalty flag, a legal procedure against the Timberwolves. Sometimes I wonder if these officials get paid by the call, because my goodness, they're just going to call one on every play now. 6:19 to go, 27-0. Fort Bragg with the lead. 5 yards against the Timberwolves, negating that run by Ashby. 1st and 15, the ball now spotted at about the 24-yard line of Lower Lake. 6:17 to go in the half. Smith started this game with a 92-yard touchdown run the first time he touched the ball, and it's been all Fort Bragg ever since. Ashby from the shotgun. Gives it to Smith. Left side, James Clark's going to chase him down. He jukes Clark and gets back to about the line of scrimmage. James Clark almost had him for about a 7-yard loss that time, but Smith, in his typical elusive fashion, was able to get away from that tackle, and although he didn't pick up any yardage, he did get back to about the line of scrimmage, setting up 2nd down and 15. Clock continues to run now following that play. About 5.5 to go before the half. It is homecoming, so a halftime homecoming festivity is planned here. They'll crown the homecoming queen and do all that fun stuff they do on homecoming, but we will, of course, just carry the football game here. All right, Ashby over center now. Nathan Johnson in motion, gets a handoff. He's to the 30. He's to the 25. He's to the 20. And inside the 10, I believe, before he's finally knocked out of bounds, running around the right side, and that should be close to a Timberwolf first down. Depending on where they spot it, I think he's just inside the 10, which I believe, nope, just on the 10-yard line. So it's going to set up 3rd down and short now for Fort Bragg. Nathan Johnson having a good game. He scored from 20 yards out, and nice run there, about 14 yards. 3rd and 1, the ball just at the 10-yard line. Timberwolves in 4-down territory, leading 27-0 here in the first half. 4:54 to go. Ashby gives it to Smith and fumbles, and Ashby picks up the fumble that time. Boy, he was hit. Smith was hit as soon as he got the ball that time, and I don't think he ever did. And Tyler Ashby very alertly fell on that football. So they lost a couple of yards on the exchange, setting up 4th down and about 4. And as I said, the Timberwolves are in 4-down territory. They're going to call a timeout. With 4:31 to go in the half, it's Fort Bragg 27, Lower Lake nothing. We'll take a timeout. I'm Lindy Peters from MendocinoTV.com and the Skunk FM homecoming, and it's all Fort Bragg. We'll return after this timeout. All right, we're back after the timeout. The Timberwolves are going to go for it. 4th down at the Lower Lake 14-yard line, leading 27-0. Smith in the I formation, Titus in front of him. Shane Tupper splits out here to the left. Nathan Johnson splits out right. And one of the Timberwolves moves, so it's going to be 4th down and 10 now. Looked like the right tackle jumped for the Timberwolves. Didn't get a number, but when a penalty like that happens, you don't really want to single out one kid, at this level anyway. So it sets up 4th and 9 now, the ball at the 19-yard line. Fort Bragg scored on their very first possession and have really played well offensively and defensively here tonight. So they set it up now, 4th down and 8. Have to get it to the 9-yard line. They pitch it to Smith, left side, starts inside, cuts inside. He's going to be stopped well short of the first down at about the line of scrimmage. Deacons made the stop for the Trojans, and they'll get the ball. Fort Bragg turns it over on downs that time with 4:22 left in the half. And the defense will trot out there. Smith ran 92 yards for a touchdown. He also had a 6-yard touchdown run, an 11-yard touchdown run. Nathan Johnson with a 20-yard touchdown run. Those are the 4 touchdowns for the Timberwolves, who lead at 27-0. The Trojans now with the ball at about their own 20-yard line. King gives it to the first man through, and he is dropped. Nice tackle by Tyler Ashby, who came up. Tyvon also helped make the stop. That was Sanders, the running back for the Trojans. Picked up about 4, setting up 2nd down and 6. How about that? No penalty on that play. So Lower Lake comes up to the line of scrimmage. 2nd down and call it 6. The ball at their own 24. Isaiah King with one man in backfield with him. That's Mason Sanders. King in the shotgun. Gets the snap, gives it to Saunders left side, and then keeps it himself as he pulled it out and even faked me out. And he's in the open field across the 30 to the 35 to the 40 to the 45 and down at about the 46-yard line as Nathan Johnson able to chase him down. Beautiful fake that time by King as he faked it to Sanders running to the right and then kept it himself and went around the left side. The defense had started moving over thinking that it was a handoff to Sanders just like I did. And that left King an open field to the left side on the far side of the field. He made a nice gain that time. 1st and 10 Lower Lake. 3:29 to go in this first half. King with the spread formation. 3 men split out here to the right this time. Sanders alone back. 1 man splits left as King out of the shotgun. This time does give it to the first man through, Sanders, and he is tackled after a short gain. Pate was in there. Also Walker Ferreira for the Timberwolves. Picked up about 2 yards, setting up 2nd down and 8. The clock runs as Lower Lake keeps it on the ground. 3 minutes to go in the half. Fort Bragg 27, Lower Lake nothing. Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM and MendocinoTV.com. Glad you've joined us here on Homecoming. Definitely cooling down. The temperature probably will get into the 40s here before this night is through. It's definitely a night for jackets and coats, hats and scarves. Fall is here on this 27th day of September. Snap. Give to Saunders. Tyler Ashby makes a stop. Whistle now blows, and a flag comes flying in. Usually where a hold is the typical call, but we'll wait and see. But the clock stops with 2:32 to go in the half. Might have been a chop block, too. It looks like it's going to go against the Trojans. Last week, Galileo was guilty of a chop block or a block below the waist on 3 different occasions, in my recollection. And that's what it is, a block below the waist against the Trojans. That's a 15-yarder at the high school level. And after getting a first down, the Trojans now are going to be back across midfield into their own territory once again and down at their own 37-yard line. So the clock runs now after the penalties marched off. 3 men to the right, 1 split way out left. A man slotted inside him. King, the lone back, takes the shotgun snap and runs to his left and is tackled immediately that time. Ashby came up to make the stop. That's going to be 3rd and long. Down to 2 minutes to go in the half. Fort Bragg 27, Lower Lake nothing. Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM. We're rebroadcasting this game on a Saturday morning. We'll have Giants baseball coming up following this game. The Giants taking on the Padres in the second to the last game of the season. So stick around if you're a sports fan. We got you covered here today. Isaiah King out of the shotgun, takes the snap, looking to his right, throws. He's got Clark, who makes the catch and is tackled immediately. Nice tackle that time by Gabe Ibarra. Clark is not the easiest guy to tackle, but that time Ibarra with a beautiful tackle in the open field, setting up 4th down. 1:35 to go in the half. The clock stops. I mentioned at the start of this game that last year Clark at the JV level was really an outstanding offensive force, and that they made a nice tackle that time. That is Gabe Ibarra in the open field as Clark goes off the field now, a little dejected after that. They haven't called his number too much on offense, or at least haven't been able to get him the ball. So the Trojans will have to punt again from their own 38-yard line. Back to receive Johnson and Smith. Isaiah King in punt formation for the Trojans. There's a snap. Kick is away. It's a high kick, a short kick. Smith is calling for a fair catch, and he catches it right at the Timberwolves' 40-yard line. And with a 27-0 lead, the Timberwolves will get it on offense. 1:29 to go in the half. We'll keep it right here and see what they do. I imagine they'll keep the ball on the ground. You never know. It's been mainly a ground game for the Timberwolves so far. Actually, both teams tonight. Last week in Galileo, down in San Francisco, the Timberwolves faced a pretty good passing attack, although it was the ground game and Rondell Fox who destroyed him and really helped prepare him for this game here tonight. I think it was, even though they got beat last week, it certainly was a game where they learned some things, and they're showing them tonight. Now Ashby is going to throw, rolling to his right, gets it away, caught by Tupper at the 50-yard line and gets close to a first down. I think he got a first down at about the 49-yard line of Lower Lake. But he's kept in bounds. We'll move the change and stop the clock for a moment and then get it running again. 27-0, Fort Bragg leading. Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM and MendocinoTV.com. Glad you've joined us here on homecoming night. Our pleasure to bring you this game here in Fort Bragg. As Ashby comes up to the line of scrimmage, takes it over center. Man in motion is Johnson. Johnson has it left side and lowers his shoulder and takes a guy with him as he picks up some positive yardage that time. Eric Moreno made the stop. Also in there was Ben Day for the Trojans, but they got the brunt of that as Johnson lowered his shoulder getting around the left side. Nice run by Nathan, who's had a good game so far here tonight. So 2nd down and 5. The ball now at the 44-yard line of the Trojans. Under a minute to go, 40 seconds to go in the half, 27-0 Fort Bragg. Ashby, quick pass out to Tyvon, who drops it. It's a backwards pass, so that's a fumble, and he's all over it. Tyvon was the intended receiver, and so that was basically a lateral, and it was a fumble when he missed the pass. Tyvon alertly got on that football. The clock runs now 14, 13, 12 seconds to go in the half. I don't know that the Timberwolves will be able to get a playoff. They're going to try to get a playoff here. 6 seconds. Ashby, quick pass, knocked down and intercepted by the Trojans. Williams gets the tip pass for Lower Lake, and with 1.7 seconds to go in the half, the Timberwolves, who might have been better off just running the clock out, have given the Trojans at least one play. Unless there's a penalty, this should be the final play of the half. And the Trojans have called a timeout. We'll take a timeout 1.7 seconds before half. It's Fort Bragg 27, Lower Lake nothing. Lindy Peters for MendocinoTV.com and the Skunk FM. We'll have that last play, barring a penalty, coming up. All right, here we go. 1.7 seconds to go in the half. The Trojans have it. I don't know who came up with the term Hail Mary, but that's probably what you're going to see. I don't know if Isaiah King has the arm strength to throw it that far. He's going to have to throw it about 50 yards to get it to the end zone. He takes the snap, and he's going to throw back. There goes the buzzer, and there goes the football as Tyvon causes a fumble, but that's going to end the half. The buzzer sounds, the score. Fort Bragg 27, Lower Lake nothing. I'm Lindy Peters from MendocinoTV.com and the Skunk FM. It's been all Fort Bragg in this first half. The only the only blemish really tonight has been an injury, and that is number 44 for the Timberwolves, Raymond Ritchie, who was injured. His knee was injured, and he's on crutches as the team leads the field. But other than that, it's been all Fort Bragg with smiles tonight. 27-0. We'll be back with the second half. I'm Lindy Peters for MendocinoTV.com and the Skunk FM. Homecoming and a happy crowd here at halftime. All right, I'm Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM, MendocinoTV.com. We're ready for the second half of this homecoming game. The Fort Bragg Timberwolves leading 27-0 over the Lower Lake Trojans. We figured out that number 64 for the Timberwolves tonight is Jesse Martinez. He's done an outstanding job as lead block on a lot of sweeps. Want to give him some credit. He wasn't in the program, and I wasn't sure who it was. Also at halftime, I checked with the injury for Raymond Ritchie. He definitely won't be back tonight. He might have some ligament damage, might also have pulled his hamstring, but he is in a lot of pain in the locker room, and that's been really the only downside to this game is the fact that he got hurt, Raymond Ritchie. So we're ready to begin the second half. James Clark will kick it off, and he kicks what looks like an onside type kick. It's picked up at the 35 by Tupper to the 40, and he is dropped across the 40, but the Timberwolves will start the second half leading 27-0 with decent field position, ball at their own 42-yard line. Call it the 43. 1st and 10, Fort Bragg. First play of this game, if you just joined us, first offensive play for the Timberwolves. They started on defense. Their first offensive play, a 92-yard touchdown run by Zach Smith. And indicative of the scoreboard, 27-0 Fort Bragg. All right, here we go. Second half action now. Ashby over center. Sends Smith in motion. Here he comes right side. Martinez leading the way. Gets a nice block. Gets to the 45. Leaps a man. Gets to the 50 and is dropped at about the 45-yard line of Lower Lake. Brendan Manginer made the stop, but Smith with another nice gain. Also when there was Ben Day for the Trojans, but it's a first down Timberwolves, the ball at the 45-yard line as Zach Smith picks up about 13 yards on his first carry here in the second half. And just as I had mentioned, Jesse Martinez's name, he was a leading block again pulling from his left guard position on that play. All right, here we go. Titus splits out to the left. Smith, the lone back in the I formation. Johnson in a slot, comes in motion. They fake to Johnson, give to Smith instead, and he is stopped this time after little or no gain by the interior part of the Trojan line. Getting up is William Isaacs, who made the stop, 280-pound defensive lineman. There's a lot of beef up front for the Trojans. The problem that presents is if you run inside the tackles, they're there. But if you run outside, which is what the Timberwolves have been able to do tonight, they probably don't have the speed to get that lateral defensive movement. And it certainly has favored Fort Bragg when they run outside. All right, Ashby out of the shotgun now. Fakes to Smith, keeps it himself, breaks a tackle, breaks another tackle, stiff arms a man, gets across the 40 down to the 38-yard line, picks up about 6, setting up 3rd down and 4. Tell you what, Ashby's not that big when you stand next to him, but boy, he is tough. Nice run that time. For a quarterback, you don't see a lot of toughness. Oftentimes, they'll go into the slide when they get out in the open field, but Ashby likes to lower his shoulder and tough it out with the defenders. All right, 3rd and 4, the ball down at the 39-yard line of Lower Lake. Just underway, second half, Fort Bragg 27, Lower Lake nothing here on Homecoming 2013. Titus at fullback now. Smith in the I formation at tailback. The pitch is to Smith, left side. He fumbles the pitch, picks it up, and is hit and dropped. So the Timberwolves unable to get a first down that time as Smith, that is, unable to handle the pitch. And luckily for the Timberwolves, they do recover it. That was Anthony Williams that was in there as Smith picked up the fumble. So Fort Bragg will have to punt, which they haven't had to do much tonight. Saunders will be back in punt formation. Sanders back to receive for Lower Lake. And again, the Timberwolves don't have the personnel out on their punt team. This has happened 3 games in a row now where their special teams don't seem to realize who's out there on the field. But they're able to get the punt off in time. Saunders gets the snap, kicks it away. Going to bounce inside the 20, down to the 15. Takes a Timberwolf bounce inside the 10, and it'll be downed by Ibarra at about the 8-yard line where the Trojans take over 1st and 10. Their first possession in the second half. 9:01 to go, third quarter. Fort Bragg 27 and Lower Lake nothing. Nice punt by Rivers Saunders that time. Took a nice bounce. And the Timberwolves have Lower Lake deep in their own territory to begin their first offensive series. That spread pistol formation sets up. Little or no huddle for the Trojans as Ashby runs out onto the field late for the Timberwolves. 2-man split to the right. 2-man split left as well. as Isaiah King takes a snap at shotgun. Gives it to Moreno, trying the right side. He's got some room if he can get outside. Smith chases him down from behind and tackles him, but a first down gain by Moreno that time as the Trojans get outside and get some positive yardage. Getting it out to about the 19-yard line where it's 1st and 10 Lower Lake. Trojans without a huddle. The clock running as the ball kept on the ground and kept in bounds that time. 2 men split to the left for King. 2 men in the backfield, one next to him, one in a tailback position as King takes the snap, gives it to the deep man, and he gets a nice move. Moreno trying to get outside as he gets across the 30 down to the 34-yard line, I think. Well, maybe call it the 32-yard line. Another big gain for the Trojans as Moreno looked like he was going to go outside and then cut it back inside, and a nice move that time. And a penalty flag is down. Might negate the play. Block in the back called against the Trojans, so that one's coming back. Starting to get kind of chilly here tonight now. If you're listening to the rebroadcast on the Skunk FM, thanks for joining us on a Saturday morning. We're rebroadcasting the homecoming game. And if you're watching the video on MendocinoTV.com, thanks for joining us. I'm Lindy Peters. We're in the third quarter. 27-0 Fort Bragg. 1 man splits way out to the left, 2 men to the right for Isaiah King at quarterback in the spread formation. As Deacons comes in motion laterally from his right to the left. There's that same play. They give it to, no, they fake to Moreno, and King's going to keep it, and he's going to be stopped. Boy, that almost looked like a rugby scrum that time, or it was. I'm not sure who carried the ball. Anyway, either Moreno or King. Well, one of them got it up to about the 19-yard line. Our vantage point here at Timberwolves Stadium is a good vantage point, but when they're on the south side of the field, we're farther away, and I don't have an eagle eye, so sometimes I get faked a lot easier than the defenders do. And that time I wasn't really sure who had the ball. Either King or Moreno, didn't matter. They picked up just a few yards, setting up 2nd down and about 11. The ball is at about the 20-yard line of Lower Lake. Their first possession, second half. Fort Bragg leading 27-0, 7:44 to go, third quarter. Clock stops for a moment. Now they start the clock again. As Isaiah King at quarterback in that spread formation. Clark in motion this time for Lower Lake. Now he sets. Hard count, and the Timberwolves jumped offside, I think. So that'll be 5 yards the wrong direction for the Timberwolves. And still 2nd down. Call it 2nd down and 6 now. Homecoming, of course, the game always lasts a lot longer because of the extended halftime. Timberwolves out here in the second half now on defense with Lower Lake 2nd down and 6 at their 25-yard line. King back to pass. Got some time. Now he's going to be sacked, and there goes a penalty flag. We've certainly seen our share of those. And there's another 2 more penalty flags fly into the huddle that time. All indications are it'll be against the Trojans. So the officials will sort this thing out. 7:11 to go, third quarter, 27-0 Fort Bragg. I was just about to say the game is a little longer due to the halftime, and penalties, of course, stop the clock and take a while to sort out, so that always extends the game a little bit too. And after that long halftime, you want your team to come out and sort of get back into the flow of things. But so there's a 10-yard holding penalty. So somebody's been ejected from the game, and I think it's Tyler Ashby. There was a holding call against the Trojans, and then the Timberwolves are called for a personal foul, dead ball foul, and I believe they have thrown Tyler Ashby out of the game. So they mark the penalty off against the Trojans first, and then they mark it off against the Timberwolves. And leading 27-0 with 7:11 to go in the third quarter. The Timberwolves may have lost one of their best defensive players and their starting quarterback. I thought that's what he said, and Ashby's on the sidelines. He is not playing. Coach Perkins wants to talk to the official. With his hands up in the air and his shoulders shrugged, like, what do you mean? How'd that happen? How can you throw a guy out of a game? There has to be a pretty definitive violation of some sort to get ejected from a game. I didn't see any punches thrown. I didn't see any headlocks or any jawing. Ashby's usually a pretty quiet kid. And well, I guess once the play was over, there was a block thrown by Ashby, or he hit a man. But again, that should just be a late hit, in my opinion, not an ejection, unless he went for his head. Anyway, bottom line is it's going to be 2nd down and 7 for the Trojans. Ball at their own 20. King throwing out to the left side. It's caught. And a first down for the Trojans. Making the catch that time was Brandon Avalar. And the Trojans get a little something going on offense here. Clock stops with the chains moving up. So the Timberwolves, who really had it rolling in the first half, have come out here in the second half, and the Trojans right now, trailing 27-0, get a couple of first downs. And the starting quarterback for the Timberwolves has been tossed out of this game while playing on defense. King gives to Moreno. Moreno is stopped after he picks up about 4, up to about the 37-yard line of Lower Lake. I'm Lindy Peters from MendocinoTV.com and the Skunk FM. We're rebroadcasting this game on a Saturday morning. Thanks for joining us here. Trojans get their offense going here without a huddle. Take a moment to get the play in. And now a timeout is called by Lower Lake. We'll take a timeout. It's Fort Bragg 27, the Trojans nothing. 6:15 to go, third quarter. I'm Lindy Peters from MendocinoTV.com and the Skunk FM. We'll return after this timeout here in just a moment. All right, here we go. After the timeout, it's going to be 2nd down and about 5. The ball at the 39-yard line of Lower Lake. They trail 27-0. The Timberwolves on defense now. As warming up on the sideline is Anthony Costello, the backup quarterback. He's going to have to come into this game. Ashby, if you joined us just recently here, has been tossed out of the game for a late hit on defense. King back to pass for the Trojans. He's going to roll out of his pocket, throw to his right. Pass is either caught or dropped. It's an incomplete pass as Ty Vaughn with a nice hit that time as he stuck Ryan Denecki. Setting up 3rd down. Clock stops. We're in the third quarter. Fort Bragg leading 27-0. They scored early and often in this first quarter, and then things settled down a little bit after that. But we're in the third quarter and a big lead here on homecoming night. 27-0. All right, 3rd down and 6 for the Trojans. 2 men split out here to the left. 2 men are back behind King. 1 man splits right here in that spread formation. In the shotgun. He'll take the snap, and he'll give it to the first man coming through, and he's got some big yardage. It looks like going to get close to the first down, if not a first down, out to about the 45-yard line. I think that was Moreno who took the handoff. It is going to be short. Trojans think they have a first down. Haven't brought the chains out yet, but they might now. So we'll keep it here as try and do bring out the markers here, and the Trojans, it appears, does have a first down easily by a football. So I guess they haven't really stretched it out yet, but there it is, first down for the Trojans. We're in the third quarter, 5:14 to go. It's Fort Bragg 27, Lower Lake nothing here on MendocinoTV.com and the Skunk FM. Thanks for joining us here. I'm Lindy Peters. Tyler Ashby with a late hit in this offensive series for the Trojans after the whistle had blown, and apparently it was leading with his helmet. I didn't see it myself, but talking to others who may have seen it, it looked like it was a late hit. He led with his helmet. He's been ejected from the game. So the Timberwolves will have to go the rest of the way with Costello at quarterback. Here's King back to pass. Pate rushing hard. There's a screen. Moreno makes a catch. He gets to the midfield stripe, across to the 45 to the 40, breaks another tackle, and Gabe Ibarra makes a saving tackle at the 32-yard line. As Moreno took the screen pass that time, they took advantage of a hard rush by the Timberwolves defense and a nice run by Moreno after the catch, getting most of that yards after he made the catch. And after a first down, there's another big gain down to the Timberwolves' 31-yard line, and clearly the best offensive series so far for the Trojans, who have come out here in the second half trailing 27-0, and perhaps getting a little bit fired up by the fact that the starting quarterback for the other team is no longer in this game. Tyler Ashby doubles at safety on defense too. Does a good job back defensively, but he's not going to be playing the rest of the night. There's a give to Moreno, and he gets through the line still on his feet and is knocked down after another 10-yard gain down to the 19-yard line, and the momentum has shifted clearly to Lower Lake. Do they have enough time to catch the Timberwolves? We're going to find out. There's still 4:22 to go here in this third quarter. Fort Bragg leading 27-0. Their defense is going to have to stiffen up now. One man splits way out to the left. Two men split out to the right. Two in the backfield along with Isaiah King, who's been at quarterback the whole way for the Trojans with his big offensive line. Out of the shotgun, he'll take the snap. And he gives it to Moreno again, right side. And this time he's dropped after gaining just a couple of yards. Scooty Titus made the stop. Also in there for the Timberwolves that time was Devin Morgan. And the Trojans picked up maybe 2 on that one. It'll be 2nd down and 8. The ball down to the Timberwolves 17-yard line. Keep our eye on the clock. 3:39 to go, third quarter. Fort Bragg with a 27-0 lead, but the Trojans are on the march. They started deep in their own territory. Isaiah King going to take the snap, back to pass, looking to his left, takes off running to his left, trying to get around the edge, and he is dropped by Zach Smith. A penalty flag comes flying in right where Pate was getting blocked by one of the Trojans. Could be against Lower Lake. It is a holding call against offense. So that'll take it from inside the 20 out to about the 28-yard line, I believe, is where this penalty will be marched off. You don't see Pate on the ground too often, and James Pate, the big offensive and defensive lineman for the Timberwolves, and the flag, they threw it right at his feet, and so he might have been tackled on that play. He was almost at the quarterback on that screen play. Actually, it's just the Timberwolves declined the penalty. That's what happened. So it's going to set up 3rd down. The ball they'll take the down instead. The ball out to the 22-yard line. Clock stops with 3:18 to go, third quarter. Fort Bragg leading 27-0. Now the clock starts running again. The JVs won. Fort Bragg winning the junior varsity game here on this homecoming night, 49-0. And right now, it's 27-0. The varsity Timberwolves ahead as well. So 3rd down and 13. King looking to his right, back to pass. Now he starts to run almost like a quarterback draw. He's being chased down, and he gets around the corner, but 3 flags fly in. And probably going to bring this one back. Usually when a quarterback takes off running and flags start flying, there's probably been a hold. But I would just guess that. Looks like the indication is against Lower Lake. And if they take it from the spot of the infraction, that's blocking in the back at 10 yards. That'll bring it out to the 25-yard line, so it'll be 3rd down and about 16. So the Trojans hurting themselves with a couple penalties after they had made a few first downs and had a pretty good offensive march going. So 3rd down now, the ball out at the Timberwolves 25-yard line. King with Moreno, the lone back, 2 men split left, 2 men split right in the spread formation. He'll take the snap at about his own 30-yard line. gets the snap, back to pass. Dropping, looking over the middle. He's going to take off again, and he is stopped as Jesse Martinez makes the tackle. Along with him is Tyler Moorhead, setting up 4th down. He did get back to about the line of scrimmage, so it wasn't really a quarterback sack as he was able to get some yardage or at least get back to the line of scrimmage, and so it's going to be 4th down now. Clock runs, 2:18 to go, third quarter. If nothing else, Lower Lake has taken a lot of time off the clock on this drive. Their best drive of the night. But they trailed 27-0. So far it's been all Fort Bragg, and now they have to get inside the 10-yard line on 4th down, and they have it at the 25. King takes a snap, back to pass, looking to his right, takes it back down. Now he starts to run. Now he throws back over the middle, man wide open, makes a catch, but he's down at the 13-yard line. That's going to be short of the first down. The Timberwolves will take over on downs. Kono Gary made the catch, I believe, or I think that was Brandon Avalar actually that made the catch, and the Timberwolves are going to take over on downs, and coming out at quarterback will be Anthony Costello. Fort Bragg leading 27-0, 1:48 to go, third quarter. Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM at MendocinoTV.com, and Costello in there for his first snap at QB, and Lower Lake is going to call a timeout. We'll take a timeout with the score: Fort Bragg 27, Lower Lake nothing. I'm Lindy Peters. We'll return after this timeout. All right, we're back after the timeout. The Timberwolves with the football. Anthony Costello at quarterback now. Zach Smith and Scooty Titus behind him in the I formation as the Timberwolves have it after stopping the Trojans on downs. 1st and 10, the ball at their own 14-yard line. Costello fumbles the snap, and Lower Lake has it. So that's one of the things that happens when your starting quarterback is taken out of the game. Well, he wasn't taken out, he was thrown out, ejected, and the Trojans get it right back. You know, I saw Costello warming up, passing, getting his arm loose. One of the things a backup quarterback should be doing on the sideline is taking snaps, even if it's not the starting center. Take some snaps. I didn't see him do that, and it cost him. He came out and fumbled. He did take some snaps. Okay, I'm told he actually was. So I guess he was as prepared as he's going to be. Now he's at the sideline taking some snaps. So the Trojans right back out on offense with a golden opportunity. The turnover gives the ball to Lower Lake at the Timberwolves 13-yard line, and up the middle goes Moreno down to the 5, about a 9-yard gain. It'll be 2nd down and goal. 1:34 to go in this third quarter. It's 27-0 Fort Bragg, but Lower Lake knocking on the door now, have it down at the Timberwolves just outside the 5-yard line. And their defense has been out there for quite a while here in this third quarter. So Lower Lake with a 2nd down and 3 now. There's the snap, give to Moreno, and he is stopped. No gain. Martinez was in there for the Timberwolves, setting up 3rd down now. Let's see if they can try and hold him. Mauricio Waragi is the kicker for the Trojans. I watched him warm up. He had a pretty good leg. I don't know that you would see him in a field goal opportunity here. Moreno seems to have a leg cramp and goes out for the Trojans right now. Sanders comes in. They don't lose much. Sanders has had a good game. So it's going to be 3rd down now. Ball at the 6-yard line. They're in 4-down territory. They can get a 1st down inside the 5. They give it to Saunders, and he is dropped by Zach Smith. Close to the 1st down. I think he did get a 1st down, setting up 1st and goal at about the 2, but that was a touchdown-saving tackle for the moment. Down to 28 seconds to go in this third quarter. 27-0 Fort Bragg. Martinez comes out for the Timberwolves now, and Lower Lake will probably wait, see if they get a play off. Oh, they might. They're coming up now to the line of scrimmage. They got the play from the sidelines. 1st and goal. The ball at the 2-yard line. Basically in 2-point, extra point conversion territory, but they're going for 6 right now. 1st and goal at the 2. There's the give. Right side. Saunders dives in. Touchdown, Lower Lake. He was driven back, but he got into the end zone, and that is the first touchdown for Lower Lake tonight. Their JV team got beat 49-0, but finally into the end zone go the Trojans, and it's now 27-6 with 4 seconds to go in the third quarter. So the Trojans will go for 1-point conversion, a kicking conversion. Bragg is out there to try the extra point. And you know what? There's still 12 minutes to go in this game. Lower Lake now trailing by 3 touchdowns, but they certainly have the momentum here in this third quarter. There's a snap. Kick is down. It's low. It hits the crossbar and no good. So they still trail by 3 touchdowns in this one. It's Fort Bragg 27, Lower Lake 6 with 4 seconds to go here in the third quarter. We'll return with the kickoff. I'm Lindy Peters from MendocinoTV.com and the Skunk FM. We might have a game here. Fourth quarter coming up here. 4 seconds to go, third quarter. All right, 4.6 seconds to go, third quarter. I would expect an onside kick if I were the Timberwolves. The Trojans have just scored, but they got to get 3 more scores to bring this game into a tie. So my guess would be an onside kick coming right here. Let's see what happens. James Clark will be kicking off for the Trojans. Deep to receive is Nathan Johnson. Zach Smith is also back there at about the 25. We'll see if they actually kick it off or try an onside. Nope, it kicks off a little pooch kick down towards the 30-yard line. It goes out of bounds at about the 25, so the Timberwolves will have it in decent field position. So no time goes off the clock on the kickoff with the ball being kicked out of bounds. The Timberwolves will have it 1st and 10, the ball at their own 35-yard line. Last time they ran out there, they fumbled the snap on the first play, and that was that. The Trojans then went in for a touchdown, making it 27-6. Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM and MendocinoTV.com. This should be the final play of the third quarter. Titus and Smith behind Costello at quarterback. They give it to Smith, right side. One man to beat, gets outside to the 45, to the 50. Stiff arms a man and then just kind of trots out of bounds at about the 48-yard line. As Smith got around the edge and got some big yardage, first down Timberwolves at the Lower Lake 48-yard line. Well, Ashby may be out of the game, but you still got Zach Smith. And the Timberwolves with the fourth quarter coming up lead 27-6. Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM and Mendocino.com. 12 minutes of football left on homecoming night. And we'll be back with the fourth quarter after this. Here we go. We're into the fourth quarter now. The Timberwolves and the Lower Lake Trojans. Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM and MendocinoTV.com. Just checking the rule book in high school football. When a player is ejected from a game, he has to sit out the next game too. So the Fort Bragg Timberwolves will be without Tyler Ashby, not just for the rest of this game, but for the next game. And that leaves it up to Anthony Costello to be able to do the job at quarterback. He's certainly not the runner Ashby is, that's for sure, but he's got a good arm. And of course, like I said, you still got Zach Smith back there. So here we go, fourth quarter underway, 27-6. The Timberwolves with the lead, first down at the Lower Lake 48-yard line. Costello fumbles after trying to snap it. Now he picks up the ball, tries to run around the left side, getting chased down, and is hit right when he gets to the out-of-bounds line and gets right back up. And one of the Trojans is slow getting up at the backfield. That's Anthony Williams, and a penalty flag is down. So penalty flag will stop action. We got 15 seconds into the fourth quarter. They're talking to the Trojans, so the penalty will go against Fort Bragg. I'll tell you what, this Trojan defense with Tyler Ashby out of there just have pinned their ears back, and they're just going after Costello as soon as the ball is snapped, and they definitely were in there that time. It's a 15-yarder against the Timberwolves, taking it way back to the 35-yard line. And if I'm Coach Perkins, I got to hope that our defense can hold the Trojans right now, because the Timberwolves are sputtering on offense without Ashby in there. No question about it. Not to knock Costello, but he just is having trouble even making a handoff right now. So here we go. 1st and 25 for Fort Bragg. There's the pitch to Smith, right side. He gets to the 25. Got a man in front of him, Titus, to the 30, and is out of bounds at about the I'm sorry, that was the 40-yard line. Again, hard to see the yard markers. He got across the 40. And picked up about 5 yards, so it'll be second down and 20 now. The ball at the 41-yard line. Since he went out of bounds, the clock stops. 11:28 to go in the game. Fort Bragg leading 27-6. Costello over center. Pitches left side to Smith. Got Titus out in front of him and is tackled right in bounds, I believe. Isaiah King made the stop on Smith, picking up about 4 yards up to about the 45-yard line. It'll be third down and still about 18 yards to go for the Timberwolves here. The ball at their own 45-yard line. You'd like to see him take a little time off the clock here, maybe get a first down or two, but it's going to be third and long. Fort Bragg leading 27-6, but still a lot of time to go. 10:54 to go in this fourth quarter, and their starting quarterback, Tyler Ashby, has been thrown out of the game for a play made on defense after the whistle. Showing blitz. Costello back to pass, and he's going to be sacked as Deacons makes the sack at about the 35-yard line. Timberwolves wanted some sort of call on that. I don't know if it was a face mask or what, but they didn't get it. Ball down to the 38-yard line and hold the whistle. We do have a flag. A flag back at about the 45-yard line of Fort Bragg. And they're pointing to the Trojans here. Personal foul against Lower Lake. That's an automatic first down and I believe an ejection. I don't know what that arm signal was, but it looked like he made an arm signal against the Trojans. It may have signaled the player is out, but let's hear it. A 15-yard penalty. A personal foul, I think, is an automatic first down, but maybe it isn't going to be an automatic first down. It is going to be fourth down. So at the high school level, a personal foul is not an automatic first down. Coach Perkins is asking the officials what's going on here. Well, that was a third down play. So the down is going to stay the same at third down. It, in fact, is not an automatic first down. It appears to be a 15-yard penalty. But it does give the Timberwolves another chance for a first down, and now the Fort Bragg Timberwolves have called a timeout. Well, it's the fourth quarter, and we could be here till midnight the way it's going. 10:26 to go. We've only played a minute and a half. 27-6. Fort Bragg has a lead. We'll take a timeout here. The Timberwolves, after this timeout, lead 27-6. 10:26 to go in the game on this homecoming night. They lost their starting quarterback, Tyler Ashby, when after the whistle, apparently he led with his head and made a late hit on an opposing player and was ejected from the game, which means he has to sit out the next game too. And now it is fourth down. They did change the down. It's not third down. Costello over center. Anthony takes a snap, pitches to Smith right side. Deacons is there. Now Smith is going to throw. Nice throw to Ty Vaughn, but a little long. But boy, Smith showed a good arm that time as he threw the ball a good 40 yards downfield, right on the pattern by Vaughn, but just overthrown. So it's the Trojans taking over, and the clock stops with 10:18 to go. It looked like the Timberwolves called that play in the first half, and Smith actually missed the pitch. Was a bad pitch, or it bounced off him. He picked it up, and I wasn't sure if it was a little pump fake to try and deke a defender or whether he was actually maybe called to throw the football. But that time he did throw it, and just a little bit overthrown. Vaughn had the man beat in double coverage up the right sideline. So the Trojans have it. They trail 27-6, 10:18 to go in the game. The ball on the near hash mark, 1st and 10 for Lower Lake. And they've got Tony Jones in there, a different quarterback. He takes the snap, gives it to Moreno. Moreno stiff arms a man, but he's brought down by Scooty Titus. Right at the line of scrimmage, no gain on the play, and keeps him in bounds, so the clock continues to run, down to 10 minutes to go in the game. Maybe picked up a yard, call it 2nd and 9. The ball at the Trojan 46-yard line. Trojans get the play from the sideline. It looks like King is out of the game. Tony Jones will be the quarterback, and maybe that was an ejection. I can't tell. I don't know. I don't see King in the lineup right now. And looked like a motion penalty, a fumble, and the Timberwolves have it. Diving in to recover that fumble on the snap was Walker Ferreira. I thought maybe that was going to be a procedure call, and they weren't even going to let that play go. It looked like the guy that had lined up wide for the Trojans started to go in motion, then stopped, and then got back on the line of scrimmage. And usually that'll be a whistle and a procedure call just stopping the play. But instead, it was a fumbled snap, and Ferreira recovers a fumble, and the Timberwolves get it right back. 42-yard line of Lower Lake, leading 27-6. 9:35 to go in the game. Costello now at the shotgun. He's back to pass. He looks, he throws, it's intercepted. Threw it right to him. Titus is going to make the tackle at about the 48-yard line, and the Timberwolves offense is not clicking with Costello at quarterback. And he just threw it right to the guy, Ben Day, right between the 2 and the 4. I don't know if he didn't see him or just had his mind made up he was going to throw the football, and a penalty flag. What a surprise on the play. And it's going to go against the Trojans after the interception and blocking in the back, which will bring it back 10 yards, and the Trojans will have it at their own 44-yard line. So a fumble recovery, and then Costello throws an interception. That's twice now the Timberwolves have committed a turnover on their first offensive play. They fumbled a snap when Costello came into the game, and now he throws an interception. And if he's going to be starting quarterback next week, under the high school rules, when a player is ejected, he can't play the next game either. They're going to needs to get some work in with the offense. And again, it's high school. He hasn't played much. I'm not trying to ride him too much. They lead 27-6 for crying out loud. 9:26 to go in the game. Jones in at quarterback for the Trojans, and a handoff to Moreno, and he is stopped. I think that was Ty Vaughn that made the initial hit coming in. Pate also in there on the stop. .09 to go in the game. 27-6, the Timberwolves lead. Second down and 10, no gain that time. And I don't see King in the field of play. I think he might have been ejected too. He's on the far sideline with his helmet off. There's a give to Moreno, and he can't get the handoff, and he's dropped in the backfield. Ferreira, the first one to hit him. I think both teams. Well, I just don't know. We don't have like runners from the field up to the press box or anything here. We're standing out in the open, but for some reason, King is no longer at quarterback either. Starting quarterback for both teams are on the sidelines right now. And Tony Jones is in there, a 6', 165-pound junior at quarterback for the Trojans. So it'll be third down and 13 now, the ball at their own 42-yard line. 8:13 to go in the game. Back to pass is Jones. He throws. The ball is almost intercepted. Overthrown that time, and Devin Morgan tried to scoop it up. Ball intended for Ryan Denecki. Incomplete, setting up fourth down. 27-6, the Timberwolves lead, 8:06 to go in the game. So Raymond Ritchie was injured in the first half for the Timberwolves. He's out of this game. Tyler Ashby was ejected for a late hit after the whistle on defense. Apparently led with his head. I didn't see the play, but talking to others here on the level where we are here broadcasting this game, they apparently saw it, and so he was ejected. Anyway, here's the snap for the punt. And the punt is away. Smith is going to try and return it. He misses the punt. It's on the ground. It's now picked up by Johnson around the left to the 30, to the 35, to the 40. Up the sideline he comes and is tackled out of bounds. A late hit, and there's a flag. Well, I can understand that one. Fort Bragg crowd saying, throw him out of the game. Johnson was out of bounds that time, and he was hit, a late hit, out of bounds. That's going to tack on some more yardage, and with 7:48 to go in the game, the Timberwolves leading 27-6. Personal foul called against the Trojans. They'll mark it down to the Trojan 35, 34-yard line. 1st and 10. Fort Bragg has it at the 34. So let's see if Costello can get in some kind of rhythm here. He's been in the game now for a few series. Fort Bragg has it. Definitely cooled down quite a bit tonight. Fall is here. All right, Titus and Johnson now, the tailback. Smith, wide receiver, splits out here to the left. Costello pitches to Johnson, right side, trying to get outside. Good pursuit that time. He gets across to the 30-yard line. There's a penalty flag. Well, I go back, if you've been listening to this whole game, I said at one point when the game was pretty much penalty-free that I shouldn't say that, because every time I say that, here come the flags. Yeah, here come the flags. And, boy, I tell you what, been a lot of them tonight. My guess is at least 20 penalties, maybe more, and that's no joke. Well, it's play stops again with 7:39 to go in the game, blocking in the back against the Timberwolves. It is high school football. But, you know, it'd be interesting to have the stat, the yardage and penalties. Phenomenal. 100 yards for both teams. Easy in penalties tonight. Easy. That adds up to 200 yards in penalties, and I'm not exaggerating. Do I sound frustrated? I sure do. I wish sometimes they'd just let them play. All right, 1st and 25 now for the Timberwolves. Ball at the 45-yard line of Lower Lake. There's the give to Smith, and he is dropped. And, again, they're in the backfield as soon as that ball is handed off, are the Trojans. Fort Bragg just unable to get anything going since Ashby went to the sideline on offense. It's a good thing they had a big lead. 7:25 to go in the game. 2nd down now and 23 yards to go for the Timberwolves. Still don't see Isaiah King out there for Lower Lake. Whether he was hurt or thrown out, he was ejected. I just was told, I thought somebody else got. So both starting quarterbacks have been ejected while playing on defense. Costello pitches to Johnson, trying to get around the left side. And he is not going to get around the left side. He is stopped and dropped about the line of scrimmage, setting up 3rd down and long. 6:46 to go in the game. And a game that was just moving right along until the second half. And due to penalties and a variety of things, including a long halftime, it just really has slowed down. You're listening to the Skunk FM. I'm Lindy Peters on MendocinoTV.com. 27-6. Fort Bragg leading 27-0 early in this game, and offensively have sputtered here in the second half. Costello from the shotgun, back to pass, throws, pass is overthrown and almost intercepted. They're saying it hit the ground, although a nice play that time. Dustin Outram thought he had the interception, diving to the ground, but it's incomplete, and that'll set up 4th down and long. So River Saunders will be out to punt, and basically it's the defense of the Timberwolves are going to have to hold this lead, but with only 6 minutes to go in the game now, they have a pretty healthy lead. The Trojans are going to have to score 3 times, 27-6. So Saunders will be punting from about his own 45-yard line. Clark back to receive for the Trojans. Saunders gets the punt away. Clark's going to let it go. It bounces inside the 10-yard line and is hit by Gabe Barbara down at about the 8-yard line. So the Trojans will have it 1st and 10, the ball at their own 8-yard line. 5:58 to go in the game. Fort Bragg 27, Lower Lake 6. I'm Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM and MendocinoTV.com. And we'll just keep it right here because the Trojans run a no-huddle offense. So chances are they'll get this play off. And, you know, they've got a long ways to go and a lot of points to try and put up on the scoreboard. 27-6, Timberwolves. Both quarterbacks ejected from the field playing on defense in this game. So Jones back in the shotgun. And a bad snap and a fumble, and it's loose, and I think the Timberwolves have it at about the 8-yard line. Scooty Titus gets the fumble, and that's the thing. You know, when you've got your starting quarterback and they're thrown out of the game, you get the second stringer in there, and they just don't have the reps at this level, and that's both teams affected by the fact that their starting quarterback has been ejected. And that time the Trojans, just a bad snap, and Jones unable to handle the snap. So here we go. The Timberwolves have it first down and goal to go at the 8-yard line. Costello gives to Smith. Smith trying to get outside to the right. Can he beat the man? He can. He's in. Zach Smith, touchdown Timberwolves. And that could be the nail in the coffin. As Zach Smith, who was injured in the opening game against McKinleyville, sat out against St. Bernard's, wasn't at full strength last week, is certainly looking good here tonight as he scores his third touchdown of the game from 8 yards out. And it's so nice to watch him still have that burst of speed after that knee injury, because a man certainly had the position to make the play that time, and Zach slowed down for a minute and then just sped off and left that guy grasping for air. So 5:46 to go in the game. Fort Bragg now leads 33-6. One man sprinting off. That's Martinez on the extra point attempt. Saunders to try it. New holder now. Ashby was the holder. There's the kick, and it's blocked, I think, or it's just a low kick. Zach Smith, a holder. So that's the other thing you got to remember. Tyler Ashby, not only the quarterback and the safety, but also the holder on extra points. And that one's no good. So with 5:46 to go in the game, it's Fort Bragg 33, Lower Lake 6. Lindy Peters from MendocinoTV.com and the Skunk FM will take a timeout and come back and try and finish this game. All right, here we go. The Timberwolves to kick it off, leading 33-6 with 5:46 to go in the game. Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM and MendocinoTV.com. River Saunders, nice long kick, and it's touched at about the 5-yard line and into the end zone it goes, and it's a touchback. So the Trojans will take it on their own 20-yard line. Fort Bragg leading 33-6. Saunders, who's really been kicking off well here in the last couple of games, with another nice long kickoff. If you joined us late, the Trojans took the opening kickoff and it was returned across midfield, and the Trojans got right out of the blocks with a good return, but the Timberwolves stopped them. They were forced to punt. Fort Bragg had it on their own 8-yard line, and the very first play, Zach Smith ran 92 yards for a touchdown. Jones at quarterback takes the snap, gives it right up the middle they come, and the Timberwolves interior line makes the stop along with Scooty Titus, who came in, and Walker Ferreira. Clock 5:34 to go in the game, 33-6 Fort Bragg. Timberwolves defense has been out there most of the time here in the second half. They've done a pretty good job too. So different quarterback in there. I didn't see who it was. There's a handoff, and little or nothing that time as Will Jones comes in and makes a stop for the Timberwolves in the backfield for a loss. I'll have to see if I can get a number on the third guy to take snaps. Jones is still in there, Tony Jones. Maybe they just snapped it to the running back. I think that was Dominic Dingus who took the snap that time. Jones is in there in the shotgun, and timeout called by the Trojans. 4:42 to go in the game. Fort Bragg 33, Lower Lake 6. We'll take a timeout. Like I said, we're trying to finish this game. Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM at MendocinoTV.com. Stick around. The Timberwolves lead it 33-6. So here we go. We got 4:42 to go in the game. After the timeout, the Trojans have it. 3rd down and 11. The ball at the 20-yard line. Their own 20. Taking the snap and running with the football is Dingus. Dingus getting around the left side is going to be short of the first down, up to about the 27-yard line, I think. Setting up 4th down. 4:27 to go in the game. And no penalties. How about that? Picked up about 6. 4th and 4. Trojans are going to go ahead and punt. Dingus back to punt. Nathan Johnson deep to receive for the Timberwolves at about the 37-yard line of Fort Bragg. Here's the kick. He gets it away. A little floater Nice bounce for the Trojans inside the 40 down to the 34-yard line where it's down by Lower Lake, and with 3:46 to go in the game, Fort Bragg has it, leading 33-6. I'm not the coach, I'm just the announcer, but if I was a coach, I would run the football at this point exclusively and just hope nobody commits a penalty to stop the clock. All you want to do right now is to run the clock, leading 33-6. Fort Bragg led at one point 27-0, so really the Trojans have come back pretty well. I mean, since the 27-0 score, it's been an even game here in the second half. The give is to, hang on just a second, a gain over the right side. They are keeping it on the ground. That was Devin Morgan, the ball carrier for the Timberwolves, picked up close to 9 yards from the 35-yard line out to about the 45-yard line. Setting up second down and short. Nice run that time by Morgan. Had to struggle to see who that was for a moment. 3:20 to go and counting down. So the Timberwolves now, if they can get a couple of first down, can really take some time off the clock. Costello in their quarterback now. Gives it to Morgan. He's tackled in the backfield, so it's going to be third down and about 5. Nice play defensively that time for the Trojans. Making the stop was Ryan Denecki. Under 3 minutes to go in the game now. Third down and 5. The ball back at the 40-yard line of the Timberwolves. 2:43, 2:42, 2:41 to go in the game. Some of this homecoming crowd has already left, and a lot of them now are getting up and gathering up their things as it's getting cold. Costello gives it to Morgan. Morgan cuts inside. He's going to be short of the first down. 2:27 to go in the game. That was Brandon Avalar who made the stop. Fourth and short. Fort Bragg might as well go for it here. If they can get a first down, they can pretty much run the clock out down to about 2 minutes to go in the game. 33-6. Fort Bragg leading Lower Lake, the first game here in NCL1 action. I'm Lindy Peters for the Skunk FM and MendocinoTV.com. Thanks for joining us here. So here we go. They're going to go for it on fourth down. Costello with Titus and Morgan, the tailback. Trojans showing 7 men up. They give to Morgan right side, and he's stopped. So the Trojans will get it back. Minute 48 to go in the game. Fort Bragg leading 33-6. Trojans that time put 8 men in the box and just bull rushed that time, hoping to stop the play, and they did. But you weren't going to throw the football that time. You weren't going to change the play at the line of scrimmage. You're just trying to run the clock out now. So the Trojans will have it first and 10, waiting for the official to start that clock again following the change of possession. Hasn't done it yet. Now he does. Once again, Dingus at quarterback. He gives to Moreno, and he is stopped by 2 of the Timberwolves. Nice play by Titus, also Vaughn up there. Tell you what, Ty Vaughn has really played well defensively the last couple of games for the Timberwolves. No gain on that play. Second down and 10. The clock runs. 1:33 to go in the game. Fort Bragg 33, Lower Lake 6. At this point, you just want to come out of the game with no one getting injured. Earlier, Raymond Ritchie was hurt in this game. Earlier, Tyler Ashby was ejected, which means he can't play the next game either. Out of the shotgun, Dingus takes the snap, gives it to Moreno. Moreno left side, gets some yardage up across the 40, down to about the 35-yard line, setting up third down, 1:05 to go in the game. Fort Bragg's going to win their first league game here and delight this homecoming crowd, although it's been sort of an odd second half. Fort Bragg was rolling big time in the first half, and with their quarterback getting ejected, and both quarterbacks ejected for that matter, it just kind of has an odd feel here the last several minutes of this game. Moreno takes the snap, and Martinez hits him in the backfield. 36 seconds to go. I believe they're going to be short of the first down, but doesn't really matter at this point. The Trojans look like they'll probably get off one more play, and that should do it. Moreno gets up with looks like sort of a muscle spasm, or maybe well, let's just take the action here. 12 seconds to go in the game. There's the snap. They give it to Moreno, and he runs left side, cuts it back across the middle, gets a first down, but that should do it. 5, 4. Well, the clock stops with 4 seconds to go because it's a first down, so they're going to move the chains. And Fort Bragg's going to win it now as everybody begins to leave. One thing about Fort Bragg, you don't have to leave early to beat the traffic. And that's going to do it. The horn sounds. The Fort Bragg Timberwolves have won their first league game, defeating the Lower Lake Trojans by a score of 33-6. They did lose Raymond Ritchie to a knee injury. He's in street clothes, and not sure how bad his injury is, but that's certainly a loss. He's been a force on defense, and Tyler Ashby, who was ejected, will be ineligible for the next game. But I'm eligible, and so's MendocinoTV.com. So we'll be along next Saturday morning at this time. But again, the final here on homecoming night. The JVs for Fort Bragg win it 49-0. The varsity wins it 33-6. The big star, Zach Smith, who returns in full force tonight as he scores 3 touchdowns, make that 4 touchdowns out of the 5 the Timberwolves put on the board. Nathan Johnson also with a 20-yard touchdown run, but it was Zach Smith tonight. He was the big difference. Good to see him back at full strength. Fort Bragg wins it once again, 33-6. For MendocinoTV.com and the Skunk FM, I'm Lindy Peters. Thanks for joining us. Our next broadcast of Timberwolves football will be 1 week from today at 10 a.m. Stay tuned. If you're listening here on the radio, Giants baseball coming up.